الوحي عنوانا وشاد من نوره في القلب إيمانا وغذ في السير.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد, and welcome to another video on the Islamic Knowledge YouTube channel. Before we continue, if I can encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that others can also learn about the channel and benefit from the channel as well. And also, just to inform you, all of our courses on our website are currently 50% off in terms of fees. By simply using the coupon code summer discount, you could get so many courses, including an introduction to Hanafi usul fiqh, an introduction to Mustalah al-Hadith, a study of Nukhbat al-Fikr, a study of Athar al-Hadith al-Sharif, a study of the book that we have just written on Hadith, a full course that goes through the entire book, and many other courses. And you can access these courses using the link in the description below. So today's book is an absolute must for any student studying the Hanafi madhab. The book is actually a series of 5 books by Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah, and he wrote these books as biographies upon the A'imma of the Hanafi madhab. So the first book is titled Husn al-Taqadi fi Sirat al-Imam Abi Yusuf al-Qadi. The second book is titled Bulugh al-Amani fi Sirat al-Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani. These two are the students of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and this is printed in 1 volume. So the book is 2 volumes. The first volume has the 2 biographies of the 2 closest students of Imam Abu Hanifa to a large degree, or the most influential, you could say. And then in the second volume, so this is volume 2, printed by the way by Darul Fath. In volume 2 we have Lamahat al-Nazar fi Sirat al-Imam Zufar, and you have Al-Imta' bi Sirat al-Imamain Al-Hasan ibn Ziyad wa Sahibihi Muhammad ibn Shuja'. And at the end you have Al-Hawi fi Sirat al-Imam Abi Ja'far al-Tahawi, who technically wasn't a student of the A'imma of the madhab. He wasn't really a student of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, or even a student of Imam Muhammad or Abu Yusuf or Imam Zufar, but he was a student. However, he was a really influential figure. So Kawthari rahimahullah wrote 5 separate books. Now originally these books were actually, the original versions were 5 separate books printed by numerous early printers such as Maktaba al-Azhariya lit-Turath, but this beautiful Darul Fath print puts all 5 books into 2 volumes. And not only that, but the book also has the absolutely immensely beneficial footnotes by Dr. Hamza Muhammad Wasim al-Bakri, very famous scholar currently residing in Turkey, who I've had the pleasure of meeting, alhamdulillah, originally I believe from Jordan or Syria. And his footnotes are honestly mind-blowing and really make the book a treasure trove of beneficial points. Now, the importance of these books of Al-Kawthari for a Hanafi can't be overstressed. If you're in the 5th year or 6th year of the Dars-e-Nizami program, you should be reading this. And if you're in the Iftar program, you should have already read this. And if you haven't, then what are you waiting for? You should be reading this book. And they are really beneficial for Iftar purposes as well. Honestly, almost everyone who wrote on the A'imma after Al-Kawthari, anybody who wrote on these scholars after Al-Kawthari, definitely benefited from his books, whether it was to refute him, whether it was to kind of benefit from his footnotes or his quotes, or if it was just to kind of just learn more about the A'imma and present exactly what Al-Kawthari said. I'm talking the likes of Mufti Taqi al-Uthmani in his Usul Ifta wa Adabuhu, many others as well. They all seem to be quoting actually Al-Kawthari. Whether they actually explicitly mention it or not is a different point, and it's a different story. Now, no one's claiming that these books are perfect or that they have 0 mistakes, and we'll speak a bit more about that at the end of the video. But to give you context of the level of research and his extensive sources, writing from over 60 years ago, he's quoting all the important stories from Fadailu Abi Hanifa of Ibn Abil Awam that has only recently been printed, and we've made a YouTube video on it as well, but it's not a very early print. So he's quoting the manuscript from over 60 years ago in the 1950s. In fact, some books were printed quite literally because Al-Kawthari quoted their manuscript in this book, and he encouraged that they be published. For example, in Husn al-Taqadi, which is the biography of Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, on page 240, Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah speaks about Naduratul Haq of Imam al-Marjani, Shahabuddin al-Marjani, and he says, وعد الأستاذ المرجاني المتون المعتبرة في المذهب هي أمثال مختصر الطحاوي مختصر الكرخي ومختصر الحاكم الشهير مختصر القدوري، فخالف ابن الكمال أيضا فيما قاله عن متون في الفقه للمتأخرين، وتوسع في بيان درجات الكتب في المذهب فأجاد وأفاد، فيا حبذا لو أعيد طبع كتاب الشهاب المرجاني هذا لما فيه من تحقيقات بديعة. So then then 2 students actually from Turkey, Al-Ustad Al-Fadilan Urkhan Anjqar wa Abdul Qadir Yilmaz, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name properly, actually printed this book called Nadhuratul Haq of Al-Marjani simply because Al-Kawthari really praised the book. And that has happened a number of times where Al-Kawthari has praised the book and then that book was actually printed because of his praise. So we only actually learnt about the importance of the book because of Al-Kawthari actually praising it. Now, I read this book approximately 3 years ago. However, I recently read the entire 2 volumes again, adding new notes to my copy. So I've got my notes here and I will inshallah ta'ala be sharing these notes on the Islamic Knowledge Telegram channel. And you can access that Telegram channel by just going into Telegram and typing it into the center of the screen. You can see how it will look. Just type in @IK Courses and a Telegram channel will turn up, and just join and subscribe to that channel. And inshallah ta'ala, I will put a PDF of all of these notes in there. And obviously the writing is not perfect, but inshallah you should be able to pick up some nice fawaid that you can find in this book inshallah ta'ala. Now, just to share some beneficial points, on page 6 for example of Husn al-Taqadi, Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah speaks about a meeting he had with Shaykh. By the way, the first 40 or 50 sides is Shaykh Hamza Bakri speaking about the importance of this book, and it's a really beneficial discussion. So here he says, with regards to his meeting with Joseph Shaykh, the famous German British Orientalist, so he says, وَقَدْ صَوَّرَتْهُ الْجَامِعَةُ الْمِصْرِيَّةُ وَيَجْرِي الآن طبع كتاب وقيع هذا بمصر لكن ببطء بالغ وسبق أن اشتغل بتحقيقه الدكتور جوزيف شخت جوزيف شخت المستشرق الألماني مدة طويلة كما حكاه لي قبل سنين. So he actually met Al-Kawthari and talked to him about it. And then Shaykh Hamza Bakri comes in the footnotes and he has a detailed discussion of when he thinks this meeting between Kawthari and Shaykh may have occurred. So it's a really beneficial point in that regard as well. Now, if you look at the contents page as well, by the way, of both books, so I should have done this on the start, but I'll just show it to you. We've got a contents page of Husn al-Taqadi. So if we have a look at the contents page, we will see how much of organization, and you can see the amazing structure that Al-Kawthari has in this book. He starts off with the actual, you could say, the birth of Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, the nasab of Abu Yusuf rahimahullah. He discusses the tafaqquh, the early teachings and learnings of Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, why he went to Imam Abu Hanifa, some stories between him and Abu Hanifa, tariqatu Abi Hanifa fi tafqih ashabihi, manzilatu Abi Yusuf al-ijtihad, carries on detail. And then at the end you've got the wafat of Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah is how it ends. You can see a detailed contents page that allows you to go deep dive into what's covered in the book. Same thing with Bulugh al-Amani, which is the biography of Imam Muhammad rahimahullah. By the way, Shaykh Hamza Bakri actually at the end of each volume, he has some mulhaqat, he has some extra, you could say, addendums that he's discussed various things. So he's discussed, for example, Kalam al-Qurtubi fi mas'alati qatl al-Muslim bil-Kafir, al-akhbar al-manqulah bayna Abi Yusuf wal-Kisai, al-munadharat al-marwiya. This is very important. Bayna al-Imamain Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani wa Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i, all by Hamza Bakri. This is a fantastic article as well. Now on page 110 to 113, just to show you Dr. Hamza's contributions as well, on page 110 to 113 we've got a detailed discussion in refutation of Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Yahya al-Muallimi on the issue of the authorship of Fadailu Abi Hanifa of Ibn Abil Awam. Who is Ibn Abil Awam? So al-Muallimi in his at-Tankil creates a little bit of doubt over who actually authored this book. So you got Shaykh Hamza Bakri kind of refuting that whole idea on this page here. Then on page 6 to 7, again just to show you Shaykh Hamza Bakri's contribution, on page 6 to 7 here you've got a discussion over the origins of Imam Muhammad's family. So Kawthari states that Al-Khatib is saying one thing whilst Muhammad ibn Sa'ad is saying something else. Here we have a discussion from Shaykh Hamza Bakri saying that the original person who to have come up with Al-Khatib's comment is actually Ibn Abi Hatim, and then he kind of goes on to say the person who has actually got it right is Ibn Sa'ad. So Shaykh Hamza Bakri actually gives preference to one opinion over the other. On page 36 of Bulugh al-Amani, in the footnotes, Dr. Hamza Bakri presents an absolutely incredible story with regards to the intelligence of Imam Muhammad. Here it's mentioned, سمعت أحمد بن أبي إمران يقول, this is Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah recording the statement, كان حرب أبو الحسن بن حرب يجيء بابنه الحسن فيجلسه في مجلس محمد بن الحسن فقيل لحرب لما تفعل هذا وأنت نصراني? Why are you bringing, you're a Christian, why are you coming to the gathering of Imam Muhammad? وهو على غير دينك. قال أعلم ابني العقل ثم أسلم ولزم الحسن بن حرب محمد بن الحسن وكان من جلة أصحابه وهم بالرقة الحسن بن حرب. This is an incredible story. On page 184, Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari rahimahullah speaks in, this is in Husn al-Taqadi, he speaks about how the scholars, his mashayikh, would pay close attention to al-athar of Imam Muhammad, and they would have a riwayah of this kitab, and they would make sure that they narrate this kitab. وَهُوَ كِتَابٌ نَافِعٌ لِلْغَايَةِ. This is how Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari describes kitab al-athar. وَلِمَشَايِخِنَا عِنَايَةٌ خَاصَةٌ بِرِوَايَتِهِ فِي أَثْبَاتِهِم. Here as well in the footnotes again, Shaykh Hamza Bakri speaks about the two prints that we have of the book. Shaykh Ahmed Isa al-Mu'asrawi, he says طبعة سقيمة للغاية. البداية ثم طبع في دمشق بتحقيق الأستاذ خالد العواد طبعة جيدة. So again, you get these really beneficial kind of, you could say, intelligent footnotes from Shaykh Hamza Bakri as well. So you could argue that Kitab al-Athar is also a book now that if you're in your final year, you should try to read this book with your teacher and try to get a sanad of the book. Then if we look at in the final volume, to be honest with you, in the second volume, and I've not paid a lot of attention to this volume because of limited time, but if you look at the index of the actual book and the last, you could say, almost 80 sides of the book, or actually just an index of the book and how to actually find different places, names. You've got Fahrisul Kutub, Al-Ijmali, Al-Ayat, you've got Ahadith, you've also got all the scholars' names, you've also got the books' names that are coming up just here, you've got the topics obviously discussed at the end of each book. This book is also absolutely fantastic. You've got a biography on, actually you could say, about 6 scholars, because you've got Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Muhammad, Imam Zufar, Hassan ibn Ziyad and Muhammad ibn Shuja, and then Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi. So I believe that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 6 scholars that you could study about with regards to the Hanafi madhab. Now another interesting discussion is page 162 of Bulugh al-Amani, wherein you will see Shaykh Zahid al-Kawthari speak about why the Ahlul Hadith scholars had a slightly more sympathetic approach towards Imam Abu Yusuf. The famous view is always that Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah incorporated more hadith into his fiqh. However, Shaykh Zahid has a slightly different approach. He kind of takes a slightly different way of looking at things, and he says that he used to have a little bit more gentleness because of the position that he used to hold as a Qadi al-Qudat. Now I do want to add a slight disclaimer that even in regards to al-Kawthari's language, he is a bit harsh, he's quite outspoken in the way he speaks, he's got a sharp tongue, and I don't actually endorse or encourage some of the language used against some of the muhaddithun of the past. Also, there's a part in this book as well, in the biography of Imam al-Hasan ibn Ziyad, that I didn't really kind of enjoy, I didn't agree with, and that is on page 123 of the biography of al-Hasan ibn Ziyad. And I don't actually prefer what Shaykh Hamza Bakri has also written in the footnotes as well. It's not a nice way to write it, and I think it probably needs a bit of rewording, and I did speak to Shaykh Hamza about it as well, and I do think he's going to kind of reword this, which is وَأَمَّا إِدِّعَاءُ لَعِبِهِ بِزَبِّ رَضِيعٍ حِكَايَةً عَنْ مَجْهُولٍ فَجَهْلٌ فَضِيعٌ فَكَأَنَّ هَذَا الْمُتَحَامِلْ لَمْ يَبْلُغْهُ حَدِيثُ تَقْبِيلِ الرَّسُولِ صلى الله عليه وسلم لزبيبة الحسن أو الحسين عند البيهقي. Now you can't bring the Prophet ﷺ into discussions like this. It's, I think, a bit inappropriate. And then even in the footnotes you can see Shaykh Hamza kind of tries to do the taqwiyah of this hadith, almost to prove Kawthari's point, rahimahullah. But I don't think there's any need to do that. The hadith is fabricated as mentioned by Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah and others. In any case, I would argue that this book is still absolutely fantastic. It's a completely beneficial book. Not everything you will find some things that are not completely palatable for you, and that's fine, but the benefit as a Hanafi researcher that these books will give you, I don't think any other book will be able to give you that. And any book that has been written after al-Kawthari, you will notice them taking benefit from al-Kawthari's book. I hope you enjoyed this video. I do hope you purchase these 2 volumes. You can buy them in one set. It's not going to be that expensive, and it is available, if I'm not mistaken, in some of the bookshops, and I'll try to put the link in the description if it's available anywhere. And I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you share it with anyone who also may benefit from it, and inshallah until the next video, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.